there, Like a Earthkeeper here, and I have John DeVello with me today. We're going to be talking about happiness. Hi, John. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
What do you have in store for us today? I'm so excited.
Well, as some of you know, I'm kind of a student of Saint Germain. I call myself eclectic, but throughout my life, since I was 17, I started studying mysticism. I keep stumbling across lessons and books that came from Saint Germain in some of his classes. And one of the things that always hits me is a discussion of happiness comes up and how important that is and how it affects our lives. And I don't think that people understand or give credit to how important that is, how the body and the universe is really relying on happiness to function. And if we don't get in that place, as Abraham Hicks would say, we're really handicapping ourselves. So I thought for a chat we want to do, we should talk about happiness and how it works and how important it is. And the more notes I started writing for myself, the more it just kept going and going. So we'll try to keep it to just a few meetings, but we thought, well, we're just going to have to break it down into at least 3 meetings because there's so much to talk about. So not only do we hope we have questions while we're talking there, but I hope you, anyone who has questions, please contact us and we'll try to add that in or answer you directly. So when shall we begin?
Let's dive right in.
Okay. The first concept, this concept was repeated to me. It was in an Abraham Hicks video. If you're not aware of Abraham Hicks, there's a lady named Esther Hicks, and she has been channeling a entity of many beings called Abraham. And in fact, I saw for the first time the video where Wayne Dyer from PBS fame was at the table interviewing her and interviewing Abraham. And the humor was, Wayne said, I have a lot of respect for you and the information you've been giving out. And I just want to say in front of everybody that how much respect I have for the information. And their answer was, yeah, but you have more books sold than we do. So I thought, what a great way to start it. It's like, let's be practical. It's all about getting information out. And again, if it rings true for you, great. Take it and run with it. If it doesn't, maybe one day it will. It'll fit the piece in your puzzle of the your conceptual framework of the universe. So the first thing I wanted to bring up is Abraham Hicks said about 10 years ago in one of her videos that, think about this for a second. In your day-to-day, you do a lot of things, you do a lot of behaviors, a lot of activities. How many of those activities are executed for the goal of happiness? You want to be happy. You want your spouse to be happy. You want your kids to be happy. You want your boss to be happy. You're going to a job you don't like because in August you're going to go on vacation for 2 weeks and you're going to be happy. And that really hit me right in the forehead. It's not the first time I'd ever heard of it, but that day it really hit me that, boy, isn't it right? Because the job I was at the time was not a lot of fun. How much time do we spend preparing or trying to give happiness to other people? And then, of course, the question was, why do we do that? What's so important about happiness? I think there's a lot of answers people have in their head, and they've never thought, well, I know we want to be happy. That's, just like you don't want to die. But let's take a few minutes and think about that. Why is it so important to be happy? Here's some lessons I've learned on it from different sources. First of all, the kind of thing we're talking about, at Christmas time, we all say, gee, I wish we had that Christmas spirit all year round. That's kind of what we're talking about, that happiness, that kind of high, that wonderful feeling that we've got. The thing that's stuck in my head, or the reaction I have to that, I'm not sure many people have, but when it comes to me is, How would other people feel or act if I was to be happy all the time? Because at the time I was working in manufacturing, I worked in 65 factories. Those are kind of serious places. You're there to solve problems. I worked in the computer department. This is not fun and games. There's a lot of money involved. Get the computers working. This is the heart of the business and the heart of the factory. So when you're happy, that tells management and other people that you're goofing off. In fact, you'll have to forgive me, I have a million stories for all of these. I was at a factory which was not fun, and it was for a very large company, but it was a couple hundred people worked there. And we were having problems. And the production manager was having a very tough life because she couldn't solve certain problems. And one day we broke up from the company meeting. We were walking back to our offices, and she was walking quickly beside me. I guess I was walking too slow. And this was after I went through this exercise and decided I'm going to be happy. I just decided it. What came out of her mouth in my direction was the words, and all these people walking around here all happy and everything. And that's when it really hit me. Really. Is that the reaction of other people to somebody who decided, I want to be happy?
They say misery likes company.
Yeah. That was a very impressive day for me. A couple other ideas. So what does happy feel like? Well, I love the English language. We have lots of expressions for things like this. We say we're walking on water. We're on cloud nine. We're floating on air. We're surrounded by white light. Abraham Hicks uses the expression, we're in the vortex. We're a higher frequency and our head opens up and we're linked into God. Guardian angels, saints, higher beings, your higher self, the I am presence. We're connected. And we'll get to that in 1 second too. No, it looks like we're getting to that next. There are several books out about talking to angels and how to communicate efficiently. And me personally, I've gone through the evolution where the very first one they talk about is you get this feel in the pit of your stomach. If you get a feel like nausea, like you're going to throw up, that means no. If you don't get a feeling, or if you get kind of a giggly feeling, that means yes. Well, as soon as I read that section, I said, well, I got to try this out. And they said, you can practice, you can play with this. So you ask your guardian angel, should I quit my job and go work somewhere else? Well, I kind of got sort of a sour feeling that no, I shouldn't. Okay. Should I sell my car and get another one? Nothing. So I thought, well, that's weird. I got nothing. So I went back to the book and they said, oh yeah, if you got nothing, they don't care. It's free will. You like that car? You don't like that car? Well, we don't care. It doesn't impact your evolution or your family or anything. We have no advice on the subject. It's just like that. Just do whatever you want. I don't care. I found in my experience that if the answer is yes or we don't care, I generally don't get much of a feeling. But when it's a really dumb idea, and you can even practice it. Should I kill my dog and bury him in the basement? Immediately, you get a bad feeling in your stomach. Like, oh, it's just kidding. I was just testing it. Well, there's your answer. That's what I call the first level of communication. Then there's a second level, which is more complicated, which I studied in school and which John Edwards talks about, is a symbolism communication. For me, the very first time I got this was one of the exercises we were taught to do is when you're dreaming, you will one day become aware of the fact that you're sleeping and you're dreaming. The next step is to participate in your dream. You can steer your dream into anything you want. It's a learning lesson. Have fun with it, play with it. Anytime something's happening in a dream, or if I'm sleeping, I don't know I'm dreaming, and all of a sudden I get the feeling of a razor blade. That's a symbol for me to stop. Stop thinking what you're thinking. Stop doing the action in that dream. Stop and change tracks to something else. This has been a long-term symbol for me. I don't have that many other symbols other than that one. But I know one of my professors taught psychics how to communicate with the higher spirits. And this is one of the places where he spent a lot of time working with people is we all have a different set of symbols. And John Edwards talks about this, the things that mean different things to us in our lives. And he helped the person interpret what that symbol could mean so that anytime they're giving a reading or something like that, and these symbols come up, they go, oh, okay, all right, well, you shouldn't do that. Or, interpret whatever the communication is. It's still kind of difficult and you have to be trained to do it, but that to me is the second level. The third level is what is called, something I had no knowledge of until recently, prayer without words. A few years ago, I got in the habit in the morning, get my cup of coffee, go out into the driveway before the sun comes up, and to pray. Your morning prayers, right? Talk to my guardian angel. He always seemed to have a team around him, so I would talk to the team about, okay, well, gratitude. I always love gratitude. Thank you for taking care of me and my family up until now. Here's the projects that I know about. Are there any other projects I don't know about? Please let me know. I'm glad to help out wherever I can. And right about then, I start to daydream, and start to go off. Just like you're in church or something, you start a prayer and off you go, And one day they said, are you talking to us or are we done? And I said, I am so sorry. That's a bad habit. I've done it most of my life. I really need to stop that. How do I stop that? How do I stay on task? And they said, well, prayer without words would be a good way to do it. What's that? I said, well, go look it up. Well, it's all over the internet. I had never heard of it. It's all over the internet. What it is you receive packets. I receive them out of the back of my head back here. You send them and you receive them. You don't even know you're doing this. In fact, after I got good at it, I realized I've been doing this my whole life. I just didn't know that's what was going on. Whenever I said a prayer and I really needed to understand something complicated, I got a packet. And then in that packet could be feelings, words, pictures, complex ideas. And you've got to unravel this thing. It takes me a couple of seconds. It takes me about a minute to pull one of these things apart and go, okay, I got it. All right, okay, fine. And you would think something that full of ideas would take a while for them to send. If you send a question or something, you would think it would take, no, it's immediate. Because to them, time is different than it is to us. They go forward and backwards in time. They don't have a lot to do. And this is something that the nuns taught me that was not true. Don't bother your guardian angel, just pray once a day and then, they've got other things to do. No, they say, we have practically nothing to do because time is different from us. We have all the time in the world. We can go back in time, clean things up, and then go forward again. There's nothing. Take all the time you need. We're here for you. This was a very powerful thing. So to receive packets, and at first you're thinking, well, that's just my own thoughts. I'm just talking to myself. This is the proof that that's not true. When you open a packet and anything there that you didn't already know, that's proof. When I was in electronics school, I almost failed one class and I had to go back because as a child, as a teenager growing up, I never understood the concept of impedance. The next morning, I got a three-dimensional color picture of the electrons flowing in the circuit, and they were bundling up. They were in groups. I didn't know that could happen in physics. And that was the answer to why I didn't understand it. That was the first time that I know clearly that didn't come from me. Somebody else gave me that during the night.
Now, how is this different? So for me, I've always said prayer is when you talk to God or the universe, and meditation is when you listen.
I think the only difference is when you listen, what form does it arrive? And I'm talking about the forms that I've been exposed to, what it's done to me. And this whole packet or bundle thing is is a new observation for me. It's probably been going on for 30, 40 years, and I just didn't, just didn't recognize it as that.
Mhm.
But again, as I've gotten older, things that my guardian angel says, the actual words, get clearer and clearer, and I can give them the credit that I know I did not know that yesterday.
Mhm.
So now that I've gone to that, a whole new world opens up. For example, that was the beginning of channeling for me. It's all packets. Until I got packets, I didn't know I was channeling.
Mm.
But now when I get a packet and I open it up, this is not from me. So, and at least I know what it was,
Yeah, I've went into like meditations and asked a question and got really quiet, and then it's almost like a shoot of information, like um, maybe like like when you say get a packet, it's almost like getting mail. It's like
Yes.
bing,
Yeah.
and then a knowingness just kind of overcomes my body as a new thought form or a new idea or a new.
You're processing it, you're incorporating it into your conceptual framework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do really feel a lot of sensation from my heart when we talk about prayer without words. It's very feeling sensation for me.
This hit me. What I love is to take these concepts and I'm watching a movie or a video or something like that, and someone brings it up like it's an everyday thing. And I went, whoa, did you hear what he just said? He just said what we were talking about. One event was, I don't know if you like Rick Steves. He's the guy that travels all over the world and does the videos saying, okay, we went to Italy today, and he gives all the details as he's walking around, Rome and all that. He was doing, I believe it was in Italy, and he went to this monastery. I'm getting confused now because he's done so many monasteries. I'm thinking this was the one where they were making beer. But he said the monks, the rules of the monastery is they don't speak to each other. They have like a half hour a day at mealtime or something like that, and that's when they talk. Other than that, the rule is quiet. You're walking around, you're quiet, and then he threw in, and you're happy. Your soul is happy. And it hit me, oh, the reason they're doing that is because he's getting information all day long. Mm. He can ask questions, and instead of talking to his buddies, ask a question to his guardian angel, and he's getting the answers. Mm-hmm. All day long. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool for us to do as we're going to the grocery store and sit there happy and walking around and getting answers?
And we can.
Some of us do now that we know what it is. Yeah. Okay, so the point that I learned from those books on communicating angels, which I was doing all wrong. They were saying angels go down to the level of our happiness and are ready to communicate and work with us. They cannot go lower than that. So when we're frustrated and depressed, angry, revengeful, they can't go down to that level of emotion and help us. They say it feels like as if your skin was on fire. That's what it feels like to us. And since then, I've caught that in several Hollywood movies where they make a reference to that, like, we can't go down to your level. Well, this one really rearranged my life because I was under the impression when I had a problem, I focused on that problem. I dwelled on that problem. And I guess in my training, you were supposed to be serious. And I was doing it all wrong. And that's why I wasn't getting answers. But when you forget about it, or as my mother would say, just write it down and let it go for a while, or take a nap, or go to bed, now the answers would come. When I'm looking somewhere else distracted, yeah, because I raised my frequency up and I say, okay, now we're ready to talk to you. Mm-hmm. Since I learned that lesson, my world has changed greatly. So that is probably the two golden nuggets in this conversation, is that's what we should walk away from. The other thing, okay, we've already talked about guardian angels and angels is a two-way conversation. Not only that, but if you have access to your guardian angel, which is the one who's assigned to you, and can redirect your requests to someone else who is more qualified to serve you, that means that angel also has access to libraries of information.
The Akashic record.
Information he doesn't have right now, but he can go find it. He can direct you to an archangel who's the healer or something appropriate to your request.
You must be asking big questions, though.
There are some days when I say, okay, I'm going to ask. You can say no, but I'm going to ask. Okay, so we've covered those. And that brought me to one of those sayings that the nuns programmed into us. It came from a poem in 1883 where the woman wrote those words, "Laugh, and the world laughs with you. Cry, and you cry alone." That never made sense. I didn't like that before because that didn't match everything else I was taught.
But it makes sense now.
Now it makes perfect sense. Now, here's the one thing I want to talk about with parents. How many children pine? I understand things aren't working out and you get frustrated. I understand when you get depressed because you don't know how to get there from here. I'll be the first to admit that. But I've met families where the children have been taught to pine, to stew in the frustration that things aren't going my way. I had to look this one up because I'd heard it in songs and use, and I had never heard the expression to pine. It's the sagging of a pine tree. You just take one look at the child. The baby's walking through a grocery store with his mom, and he's not saying anything. Anybody who takes a look at this child knows he's grumpy because he's not getting what he wants. Could be out of his parents, could be out of the universe, could be his dog died, or whatever. He's waiting for someone to solve his problem. Angels can't help him. I know adults, and to me, I take one look at them and I think their parents never told them to stop that as they became adults.
To let go, to move on.
They're waiting for somebody to give them happiness, to bring whatever they need to be happy. And they're going through life pining, and I'll guarantee you they don't even remember what started it.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been programmed and conditioned for a very long time to seek outside of ourselves for all of our answers, our things that we want, our solutions to our problems. It's always been externally seeking.
This is the big revolutionary lesson of Abraham Hicks is it's right here. It's from your heart up to heaven. You're in control of the communication. It's waiting for you to use the channel. Knock yourself out. There is nothing you can't solve, be informed of, or help cooperate. Laws of attunement with other people.
You know, and you said happiness boosts our immune system. It makes us happier people. We just feel better. You know, it's good for our health and our wealth and our luck and all of these things. And everybody loves it and wants to be in. It's in our human nature to run from suffering and run to pleasure and happiness. Well, what can we say to those people out there that are like, I want to be happy, but I'm not? You know, that might be stuck in that depression or stuck in that rut. What could we say to?
That's all about our next meeting.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I'm jumping the gun. Okay.
You are. That is exactly what we're going to talk about next time.
Okay. Sounds good. Maybe is that a good stopping point?
That's my stopping point. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us today. And look for part 2. Happiness is a 3-part series. So this is part 1. and make sure you tune into the other ones. Thank you guys so much.